Hi everyone, I'm Rachel Tessman from stampyourartout.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Andover, Minnesota in the US, and today I'm bringing to you a pre-recorded online paper crafting class because on the date that this is airing, which is November 9th, 2022, I'm actually overseas at a Stampin' Up! Convention in Vienna, Austria. How fun is that? I hope you enjoy what I have to share today, and if you do, please give me the thumbs up, share with your friends, subscribe to my YouTube channel, that sort of thing. So today I'm going to share with you a larger version of the Octagon Star box. I've been playing around with these boxes. In fact, let me bring this one to you so you can see it up close here and personal. This one was created by my friend and fellow demonstrator, Teresa Glow. She shared this with us. She shared how to make it with us in one of our team events mid-September. And then on October 23rd, because I got hooked on these things, on October 23rd, I shared in one of my videos, my how-to videos with Paper Pumpkin, how to make a couple of these. And I made this version, and I also walked through the creation of this version with a cute little Santa head. So cute, right? And so they're super adorable boxes. They are a great size for candies. They're about, 2 inches tall and about 2.5 inches in diameter. So you can fit quite a lot in them. And then on October 30th, I had to post something Halloweenish, and so I made a Halloween version of the box. And then I also shared this version, which is one that I made with the Sun Prints designer paper and coordinating stamp set, which I've been hooked on lately. I've been making a lot of things with that. That's sweet. So yes, so today I'm going to walk you through making a larger version of this box. So in the blog post that's connected to this video, and you'll find the link for that in the description, you'll see this pattern there so that you can remember it, and it's kind of a guide to help you in creating this size box. And then you'll also see a completed version of the larger pattern. I haven't completed it yet during the recording of this video because I want to show you step by step. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to cut our paper from a 12 by 12 sheet to this size. We're going to do a score line in this direction and here, these two score lines, and then we're going to score and cut, score and cut, score and cut all the way across. Okay, so let's start with a piece of cherry cobbler cardstock and our trimmer with the arm extended. Let me zoom out just a tad here too. So we're going to cut this down to, I have to look at my cheat pattern over here, 11.5 by 11.1/8. So we're going to go to this mark on my trimmer here, 11.5 inches. And then we're going to cut it in the other direction at 11.1/8 inch. So we're cutting off just a little bit more on that side. Okay, then what we're going to do is we're going to position our paper that same direction. Sorry, we're going to keep it this way with the shorter, or make sure here, yep, the 11.1/8 measurement across the top of the trimmer. And we're going to score parallel to the long side, 3.25 inches up from the bottom. And then we're going to go 1.75 down from the top. So when I say that, this is the top of the box and this is the bottom of the box. Okay, and that's where our main score lines are that are going to kind of guide us in our next set of score lines and cut lines. So once you have these two done, then you're going to go to every 1.3/8 inches and we're going to score. We're also going to do the cut at the same time because I think it's going to be easier to do that instead of grabbing your scissors and trying to cut up. It's just going to give you a more crisp and straight line. So we're going to go to the 1.3/8 inch mark and make sure that your edge of your paper here is parallel to these vertical lines on your trimmer. So at 1 3/8, we'll score, and then without moving the paper, we're going to cut up to that bottom score line, this one that goes to here. We'll lift the arm of the trimmer. Now we're going to add another 1 3/8. So that would be 1 3/8 plus another inch is 2 3/8, and plus 3/8 more. That's going to bring us to the 2 3/4 inch mark. Now, if you don't want to do math, just remember all these marks that we go along the way. So 2 3/4 is next.
Score and cut. And then 4 1/8. Score and cut. 5 1/2. Score and cut.
And if you cut a little bit beyond, which is what I accidentally did there, I'm sure it's going to be just fine.
And then we'll go to 6 7/8. Score and cut. 8 1/4. Score and cut. 9 5/8.
Cut. And then the last one is at the 11 inch mark. That's going to leave us with a 1/2 inch for tabs, because we need tabs in order to connect the two sides to form our box. So this little section here will become the tab. Okay? After we've got this done, we can go ahead and do some extra scoring that does not involve the trimmer. We're going to bring in the Stampin' Pierce mat, and I'm just going to score. I'm going to emphasize these score lines here so you can see better where they're at. Plus, it's going to help in forming the box. And I'm going to go back and forth on this one just to make sure it's really crisp. And then we'll score in this direction along all of those parts. A bone folder is a very handy tool to have, especially when doing fun folds or when doing 3D boxes like this. So it's not a necessary tool, but it really does help. You can do so much with this. You can curl things, you can burnish adhesive. Okay, so now we've got those score lines all emphasized. We've got one more set, and I'm just going to fold it like that. Grab them all underneath there at the same time. Okay, so these are the bottom tabs that help bring the box together, if that makes sense. Okay, and then these are the top sections, and we need to put some extra score lines in there. So now we're going to create some X's. I'm going to zoom in a bit so you can see. We're going to create some X's in every one of these rectangles. So I'm going to use the stylus section of my, or attachment for my Take Your Pick tool, and a ruler, and then my Stampin' Pierce mat, my part that the mat, because I have two of these. I have one that I pierce into, and I have one that I don't pierce into. So this is the this is the one that I obviously don't pierce into. We're going to go ahead and connect corners. So we're going to score from here to here, and then we're going to score in the opposite direction from here to here. And you're going to do that in every rectangular section along the top. There are 8 sections. So to make it quick, we're just going to go ahead and do it in one direction all the way across, and then we'll do it in the opposite direction all the way across. And be careful, I got a little heavy-handed here. I think what I'm going to do is just add a little bit of adhesive under there to make sure that it doesn't go awry when we're putting the box together. Just a little bit of tape. You won't see it. It'll be underneath. Okay. Oops. Now we're going to do some trimming of tabs over here. Actually, let's add the other score lines. We've got a few more score lines to put right above these X's, and since we're zoomed in still, let's go ahead and do those. What you're going to do is you're going to connect this middle of the X with the top, and to do that, just use your ruler and line up your ruler with this mark, and then look to see that all of these little sections are, that this is parallel to this. Basically, it's the same distance across all the way. It doesn't have to be an exact measurement, but close enough will help. Okay, we've got all those score lines in there. Now it's time to go ahead and cut along this tab section. This piece we're going to cut out, but we're also going to take and cut a couple separate tabs here. So this tab is going to be cut at an angle, right there and right there. And then this one's going to be cut at an angle, but it's a little more severe of an angle. We're going to go from the middle out to each of those sections or those points like this. Okay, and that's going to allow it to connect to the triangular section opposite of it on the other side. Now we can decorate the panels, and it's easiest to decorate or add the designer paper to the panels when everything is flat like this rather than assembled. I want to show you the finished pattern that I have for the larger box now. So you'll be able to see, again, these two images on my connected blog post to help guide you in your creating of your boxes. We're going to use a paper called Lights Aglow, and I'll need 2 of these 6x6 sheets to cover this section of the box. So I've got those 2 here, but I wanted to show you all of the designs in this paper pack. You actually get 4 sheets of each of these 6x6 double-sided designs. These are the foil-sided designs, so they have gold foiling to them. Really pretty colors. We've got soft succulent, evening evergreen, basic black. We've got the cherry cobbler in there, vanilla, some white. So you can see such pretty designs in that pack. So we're going to use a couple sheets of these, and we're going to cut those down to 1 1/4 inches because we had 1 3/8 inches for the width of our panels. We're going to go 1/8 inch smaller. So we're going to go to 1 1/4 inches, and all of them are going to be 6 inches tall because the section that we have between here and here measures 6 and 1/8 inches. So by taking an 1/8 inch off in that direction as well, we've got 6 inches. So let's just test that out. Here is one of our pieces, and we'll just lay that down in this section. You can see that we've got a 1/16 of an inch border all the way around on that, that panel. Okay, let's go ahead and cut the rest of these. Now I recommend that you keep them in order because if you take them out of order, what you've got, and I'll just cut another one here so you can see what I mean, or maybe you won't be able to tell too much on that one. But if they're out of order or they're flipped upside down or something, you're going to make your pattern not flow as well, so just kind of keep them in the same order. So there is an advantage to using 12x12 designer paper. Stampin' Up! Carries both 6x6 and 12x12 designer papers. The 12x12 will prevent you from having 2 sections of the flow on here being disconnected. So, and they're not really disconnected on these 2 pieces. I mean, the fact that they don't connect exactly on this design isn't a big deal, but if you have like the face of an elf or something that you're chopping up, you know, just keep that in mind that 6x6, the flow is going to be a little bit more choppy. Okay, now what we want to do is we want to add each of these panels to our box, and I'm just adding my adhesive all the way down on both sides because I want to make sure that these panels do not come off, and then we're just going to connect them inside each section. And each section again is 1/8 of an inch in both directions, taller, wider. So you will see between the 2 sections a 1/16 and a 1/16 of an inch connected. You're going to see 1/8 of an inch here, which is fine, but just note that it's gonna broaden up just a little bit because you have 2 gaps connected there. I started going ahead of myself, so you're going to see a little bit of adhesive torn off look here. All right, so I'm going to back up a bit. After you've got your paper on here, now you're going to fold on these score lines. So we're just going to crease our paper in this direction diagonally in every section up here, and then we're going to go the opposite way and crease. And that's just going to make it so the box is much easier to put together when we connect the two ends. Again, I got ahead of myself. Okay, so we folded on the X's, and then we also want to pinch right here. And we're pinching so that it's coming towards us. Designer paper is on the outside of the box, obviously, and the pinch is coming towards us. Just like that. Okay, so what you've got then when this box is going to be put together is you're going to have a look like that at the top of every section, and they're going to kind of bond together like that. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to cut or punch some holes into these sections because we're going to add some ribbon. Just like on these boxes, we need to have a ribbon going through the top. And did you notice the mess behind me in the room? That's because at the time of this recording, I am creating. All right, so you can see what I did is I punched a hole in this section and this section just by pinching these parts together. So we're going to pinch them together, and we're going to punch a hole right in the center. So we're just kind of aiming for this spot here. And I'm using a Crop-A-Dial, which is a tool that Stampin' Up! No longer carries, but I do have a link to that in the description of my video and in the description of my blog, or at the supply list at the bottom of my blog post. So you'll be able to access that. You could also use like an 1/8 inch hole punch, which is basically what this is, just a glamorized version of it. So by punching 8 holes, I got 16, and can you see they're not exactly in the same spots all the way along? That's totally fine. Okay, now it's time to add some adhesive. So we're going to use tear and tape adhesive, and basically you tear it to cut it off. It's a great tape, but it is very workable. So I'm running down the edge of this tab, and then I'm just tearing it off. We're going to do that there, and we're going to do it here. And you can see I'm kind of going over the edge on this tab, and that's okay. We're going to use our bone folder and just burnish or press that adhesive into the cardstock fibers. And then we're going to use the take your pick tool or your fingernail if you want to, and grab that backing and peel it off. Oops, I didn't get it all. And once that's off, these little ends can just be kind of folded back onto themselves. Do the same thing over here. There we go. Okay, now we can assemble the box. My boo-boo. You can assemble the box by connecting the two ends together, and it's easiest when your box is flat. So we're just going to flatten it down and press those sections together. And that's why we had the V here on this tab, because we didn't want it to go beyond that little fold line there on either section. It would have been a little more difficult to put the box together on the top. Okay, so the next step is to determine where the front of the box is. So if this is the back, then this one is the front. And the back is determined by where the pieces overlap themselves. Okay, so this is the back, this is the front. I'm going to go ahead and mark that with a little post-it flag. That'll help remind me where the front is. And the front is also going to be the section of the box that gets the adhesive along the underside of all the bottom tabs. Okay, and I'm choosing these 4 tabs, but I could also choose instead these 4 tabs. It doesn't matter, just as long as you're including this in one of the middle sections here. Okay, so let's go ahead and add that adhesive, and I'm just using the seal adhesive, and I'm going to put it on both sides of the tabs. So now as we move further into connecting the base of the box, you're going to see why we put adhesive there. Okay, so this is the front panel, the one with the sticky note on it. We're going to face that away from us, and we're going to start with the two diagonals on the side. We're going to take the opposite section. So this diagonal and this diagonal section are going to come together and connect like this. And we've got this one with the adhesive going on top because that way we won't see a seam here. On the back side of the box, you can see the seam. Let's take the other diagonals now and connect these two together. Like that. If you do the two opposites, then you can see your octagons start to form. We're going to take the sides now and connect those next. And then we'll take the back and the front and connect those two. And in the end, see, we have no seam along these front sections here. So nice. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and start adding ribbon. Oh, I'm going to keep this marked here. We're going to add ribbon, and we're going to form the top of the box. Okay, and the box is going to be this elaborate, beautiful star. So this is the front piece. You can either start here or start here by weaving your ribbon in, but we want to grab our ribbon next, and we need 16 inches of it. So we're using the beautiful gold and vanilla. Let's see, golden vanilla satin edged ribbon is what it's called. So we need 16 inches. That will be the length of our grid paper. And I'm cutting off a section of that, bringing in some scrap grid paper here and my Cherry Cobbler Dark Blends marker. And I'm going to go ahead and color along this side of the ribbon. And along this side of the ribbon. And what I've got here is a beautiful gold and cherry cobbler ribbon instead of gold and vanilla. We're going to do that on this side too. I love how the blends markers can change the color of our neutral white and vanilla ribbons. You can even attempt to do this on another lighter shade like a green or a blue or whatever. Sometimes it has a little undertone of that other color. But there we go. Very pretty. Okay, let's let that sit for just a second while I close up my cap. Make sure that your caps are closed securely when you are closing your blends markers because they're alcohol-based markers. And then we're going to go ahead and start weaving. Now you can grab like a needle threader, or you can grab, just a point. Let's see how I cut it at a point here. Just kind of, make sure that you're able to feed it through that hole. So that's what I did with mine, is I cut it at an angle, and we're just going to grab and bring that ribbon through each of these holes, and I'm pinching outward. If you pinch it the opposite way, it's going to be very difficult to thread the ribbon and close the box. So make sure that these pinches are going outward. You're going to see the end of the ribbon start to fray a bit, but that's okay. We can just retrim it when we get through all of the holes. You also don't have to worry about adding your gift item to your box, because even though we seem to be cinching it together and closing it up now, it's pretty easy to reopen, so no worries there. Okay, let's retrim the end of that. Got pretty frayed there, didn't it? There. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the two ends, and I'm going to cinch the box closed sort of evenly like that. You can see how I'm pulling them at the same time. And as I do that, these sections are coming together. Whoops, we need those triangles to fold outward. There we go. So all of these little triangle sections here come outward, and so do the pinched areas. And when you've tightened it, you can always adjust the ribbons too. You can move them back and forth. Now when you're ready to put a gift inside, you just reopen it, and you can add your gift and then cinch it closed again. Okay, so let's go ahead and close that, and then we'll decorate, tying it right in a bow, just like you would your shoes. Okay, so this is the front of the box, and we're going to decorate that up with a fun little label piece and some embellishments. And now I'd like to introduce you to the Lights Aglow suite, which is also featured as the main suite on the front of the mini catalog. Beautiful products. We used the ribbon. We're going to be using this stamp set and set of dies. We also did use our Lights Aglow specialty designer paper. So we're going to bring in this stamp set. We're also going to be using the circle die and this label die. And here they are in person. So let me pull those out. And the stamp image that we'll use is the one that says "All is merry and bright." We're going to stamp that onto a scrap of basic white cardstock. And then we're going to die cut that with our circle die. To help me make sure that that doesn't shift on me when I'm die cutting, I'm just going to use a sticky note and press it across both the die and the paper. This one has a little bit of a crease in it, this cardstock scrap of cherry cobbler. So I think I'll use a sticky note there too. I don't want it to shift on me when I'm die cutting. So let's grab our Stamp and Cut and Emboss machine, and we'll set up our, we call it a sandwich. So we've got our platform number 1. We've got our die adapter, number 2, and then cutting plates, number 3. So I'm going to put my scratchiest one on the bottom, and lay these 2 here, and then I'm going to grab this other one and put it on top and run it through the machine. And the 2 rollers in the machine help to press those metal dies against the cardstock and cut the image that we are desiring. So let me flip this over here. Isn't that fun? So let's take that off of there, and you can see it even does this fine detail in there. Let's grab this one now, and that's the pretty design. Oops, can you see that we get with that one? And we're just going to layer this one over the top of this one with some dimensionals and add some gold accents. So I'm going to place a couple dimensionals behind the top and bottom of this label piece, and then we can pull that sticky note away. You can place it up, you can place it low, you can place it in the middle. And this one, I think what we're going to do, we're going to add it with the dimensional, and then we're going to tuck our gold embellishments around and underneath. So make sure that your words are parallel to the top and bottom of your box. Oops. And that it's centered as it can get. We're going to use some glue dots. And it looks like my glue dots are stuck to this side. So we're going to take a glue dot off of here, and we're going to add it onto the back side of one of these gold holly leaves. And we have 2 sizes of those gold holly leaves, and you can see that there is some veining in the leaves, and then the angle of the outward veining goes upward or downward depending, right? So we know that this is the base of the leaf. So we would add our glue dot onto the back side of the base. We've already done that with one off camera because I lost my glue dot. Found it again though. And so now we have a glue dot on the back side of these 2 leaves. I'm going to move these off to the side for a second here. And we'll just stick them right behind the white circle, like that. And then press it. Oops. I left that in there because you know what? We're missing the lives, right? So we just had to keep that blooper in there. All right, I'm going to use this tool here and just kind of grab it underneath and on top. There, now it's stuck. And which one had the glue dot? It's this one here. All right. Hope you got a kick out of that. And then we're going to add another glue dot. See if I can make that same trick work. To the back side, just kidding, of this one. We'll do another one, another small one. Glorious. Isn't that pretty? I love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. What a nice size box to add a gift. Now look at the comparison. So this is the tinier one. This is the bigger one. And if we take a ruler, you can see that you have about 6 inches, 6 inches of height in this box versus the 2-inch. And you have, a little over 3/4 of an inch, 3¼ of an inch versus the almost 2.5. So quite a lot more can fit into this size box. I made a couple others that I want to show you. This one here and this one here. Aren't they pretty, you guys? So I made a wedding-ish one and I made a baby one, and I used I used the same dies, by the way, but for the stamp set I used the Celebrating You. A lot of these images fit within that circle die from the Labels Aglow set of dies. On this one, I used the brushed brass butterflies, the cardstock color. This is the Evening Evergreen, along with the Evening Evergreen blends marker. And then the base cardstock is the soft succulent. On this one, I used the petal pink, and petal pink for the blends. And then the accent on this one is the heart pearls. So pretty. And this beautiful paper, I forgot to mention, comes from the Texture Chic pack of designer paper. Fun stuff. I hope that you enjoyed this larger version of the Octagon Star Treat box. Boy, you can fit a lot in there. All right, November 9th. That is the blog post that's connected to this video. Remember, if you're on YouTube, you can look in the description of the video to link back to that blog post. You can also access the supplies that are listed in there. But if you do click on that blog post, you'll be able to see photos of the projects, photos of those pattern sheets I shared earlier, the measurements, and a visual supply list as well. Next week's video will also be pre-recorded. So on November 16th, I will be sharing another fun project with you. I hope that you visit back. Make sure that you also check out my website at stampyourartout.com. You can subscribe to my website so that you don't miss a post. And if you're on YouTube, thank you for giving me the thumbs up, the likes, all of that stuff. Subscribe to my channel. I appreciate it. We will see you next week, hopefully. In the meantime, have a great time, have a great week creating, and now I'd like you all to go and stamp your art out. Bye-bye.